The opinions in the following podcast are the expressions and ideas of each individual host and not a reflection of 210 culture as a whole. So please take it all with a grain of salt and enjoy the show. This
¿Qué más le gusta de este parade?
No me shut up, man. No me.
It's a reflection of San Antonio, and its music too, man.
The
And the pride of the great Lone Star State, our NBA champions.
210 Culture Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 20 of the 210 Culture Podcast. The, what did we say? Clean out the closet edition.
Clean my closet.
Get those skeletons out of the closet, people.
Yes, like the Eminem song. So, like always, I'm G.
I'm Dom.
And Donna.
And of course, we have our special goons over there in the back, sitting having a good time.
Whoa.
Yo, what's up? This is your boy Lou. You got DJ right here.
Everybody's favorite duo. And we have a special guest today on the show. We're not by ourselves for once. So y'all can stop hearing us ramble. And actually have somebody else who has insight. I'm going to butcher the name because I suck at names. But we have Miss Rhiana on the line.
You got it. Rhiana, yay!
Yes, so AKA the yard sale manager. AKA yard sale lady.
Yes.
Bandana babe.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that one.
Hashtag bandana babe. I own that.
Ooh.
And we're going to make sure it's on that and we're going to split
I
the profits.
know.
But yes, it's our own San Antonio's yard sale manager. Before we get into all the questions and interviews, we normally just kind of go around and explain or say what we did all weekend. Mm-hmm. So since you're our guest, I'll go ahead and ask you, what did you do this past weekend?
So this weekend, we just got back from Baltimore for Christmas for the holidays. So yeah, so it was chaotic. It was absolute chaos. We had Santa came a second time at our house, so we had Christmas.
Must have been really good this year.
Yes.
Okay, we won't explain
Yes.
more.
Well, Santa might have gotten a little preoccupied in other states. So but no, it was a good year for everybody, but now we're all dealing with trying to put everything back together. Although we did go for a incredible hike on Sunday. I don't remember the name of the park, but it followed the river.
Yeah.
We went out there and we just explored with the kids, and they had an incredible time. They got muddy and dirty, and it was perfect. And then I worked.
That sounds great.
Because I work a part-time job. You know.
Wow.
Got to pay for my business.
Always.
Of course.
Always gotta sacrifice.
Amen.
That's right. You had mentioned you're a hotel.
Yeah, I work. I'm a
concierge.
front desk agent, and I love it. It's my escape, actually.
Oh.
So shout out to the Windcrest Holiday Inn Express.
Yay!
It's the motel of 210 Culture. And I'd ask you, Dom, but I was with you Saturday.
It's true. Saturday was a big day at the coffee or the caffeine fest, if I like to say.
Caffeine.
They
Yes.
got too much caffeine that day. Ooh, got jitters.
We tried to get in.
It
Really?
It was sold,
Yeah.
like, legit sold out. I stood outside the gate, and
Really?
nobody had spare tickets.
Even
Wow.
inside, like, the lines were out the gates.
Yeah.
Literally.
And somebody had to have 5 cups of Colombian coffee.
That's true.
That was the worst experience I ever had, man. Being that jittery, dude. I was shaking throughout the whole entire time with a big old smile. I look like a
Just
creep
like,
looking at all the beautiful women out there. Going, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What's up?
You were at the coffee festival, so I mean it's expected.
Yeah, but I didn't know that the coffee was gonna be that strong for Colombia.
Should come with a warning.
I know.
And of course, if you haven't seen the video now, the video just came out on Wednesday. So check it out of us experiencing the coffee festival and the tragic loss of Luis Empanadas.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
It's very sad.
But,
so sad.
But yeah. And then on Sunday, what did we do Sunday?
We went to a baby shower.
Oh yeah, we went to a gender reveal for
gender reveal.
our apartment locator Nick there. He's having a girl.
Yes.
Mr. Saldana.
He doesn't know how to swing a baseball. He almost broke the ball before he hit. But shouts out to my boy. He's having a baby girl, baby Brooke.
Baby girl.
Baby Brooke. And
now he's gonna have 2 women that are smarter than him.
Yeah.
And the dog.
And the dog.
And a dog. Wait, Duncan or is Is it another dog?
No, it's another dog. It's like a
What?
small Chihuahua-looking thing.
Yeah. And then, and Saturday we also shout out to the Texas Bearded Cartel. We hung out with them. And
Yeah.
They were very had very nice hospitality, and they gave us some free shirts.
Hospitable.
Wow.
Yeah. Whatever.
Nice.
I make plans. I don't speak. All right.
Gotta be corrected.
But yeah. I mean, it was all a good time, and we got some good stuff coming up and cooking around here now. Playing with gas this first month here. But let's jump into these questions here for the our guest here. So the first question, which I'm pretty sure a lot of our fans want to know, is what exactly is a yard sale manager?
So, excellent question, by the way. Sorry, I've been waiting to say that. No, a yard sale manager, well, that's me. I manage yard sales for people who don't want to have them, who don't have the time to have yard sales. I take over the entire sale and I manage it from beginning to end. So I basically set it up, I advertise it, I sit outside and I sell it, and at the end I tear it down and I take care of everything, and at no point do my clients ever open up their wallet to pay me.
Oh, wow.
It's the most amazing part.
I'll get into more later, how that works.
And so going into the next question here, so what made you decide to go into yard sale managing?
So this is where the question gets a little deeper. So
Okay, here we go.
the story begins, I'm not going to go like all harp and go back 25 years, but when I was a little girl, I loved yard sailing. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I actually would go out with a friend's mom to go yard sailing. So rather than hanging out with my friend, I was hanging out with her mom, and we would get the penny saver and the newspaper and find all of the yard sales and just hit them up. And so I really started appreciating the fact that I could take $20 that I made from babysitting and spend $8 and come home with 2 full bags of stuff and still have $12 left.
Right.
for
Yeah.
my babysitting
Yeah.
money. So I learned how to stretch $1. So fast forward a few years, I ended up moving from Baltimore, where I'm from, to Texas for an internship, and met my now husband. And while we were dating, we lived in Dallas, and every second Saturday of the month between November and from March to November, there was a church that had a second Saturday market. So the second Saturday of every month, they had a church market. And it was a flea market for the community who might not be able to have a yard sale to come and sell their stuff. And we did it probably for about 5 years. And towards the end of our time in Dallas, this gentleman comes up and he starts talking to me at one of the flea markets. And I humored him, because one of the things about yard sales is you always find the most unique people to talk to.
Yeah, for sure.
There, you meet a lot of great people, and they want to tell you all about them. And it's great, and it's really interesting. But this guy came up, and he started asking me questions about things he wanted to sell, and I started telling him what I thought he should do. And he basically said, well, why don't you do it for me? And that's when the seed was like, boom, seed was planted. And at that point, I wasn't really ready to start anything, but I had that idea, like, I could do this for people. So right before he moved to Houston, he contacts me and he asks if I could help him actually do it. The fact that he called me made that seed grow, because I realized there's people out there that are actually willing to do this.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
So when we moved to Houston, I made business cards, and I never did anything with them because I was working full time. And then 2 years later, we moved to San Antonio. And when we moved here, we took a leap of faith and became a 1-income household. So I didn't continue working. And we had a yard sale, and my husband was complaining, as he always does, about yard sales. Like, I don't want to do this. I really hate it. It's annoying. And he took me aside, and I'm sure it was probably a night where I was really pissing him off, because he was like, I really hate this process. I hate doing it, but I know exactly what to expect because your process is the same. And that's when everything kind of finally clicked. So I took the business cards I made from 2 years ago, went out and figured out different ways to take a picture. I took a picture of it on the floor of my garage because it had a cool backdrop.
Yeah.
And it worked. And so I took a picture. I posted it on a yard sale page on Facebook. And within 5 minutes, I had 8 different responses. I had 4 messages and 4 private messages.
Yeah.
And so that evening when we put the kids to bed, I pulled my husband aside. So I did a thing. I told him, I was like, I'm going to be busy now because people need me.
Yeah.
And that's when it all started. So
that is amazing.
And literally, I think that's record time for me explaining my whole story of how this came to be.
Like the shortest.
Impressive.
The shortest.
Yes.
In a direct way, your husband gave you the idea. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, it's your fault. I'm busy now. Okay.
And he's totally fine with it. He wants this to succeed so he can like quit his job and stay home with the kids.
For sure.
And that's, I think it's
It's
funny how
anybody's
like
dream.
that's how things get started. Because like with us here, I always had the idea to kind of do this, but originally it was intended to be an app for college kids that were like going to college. They were
that's
from San
awesome.
Antonio. The original idea was to have an app, and I was going to call it, I think, the College Bible, and it was going to be like places to eat,
Yeah.
places stuff around college. I was like, we'll start at UTSA and kind of go from there because we're all from UTSA. And that it was just an idea, never panned it out. And then one day I stopped going to school, so I was like, well, I need a full-time job. I was still looking because I was working Best Buy part-time. And then I was just looking on YouTube one day, and they were like, fast ways to make money without getting a degree. And I was like, okay, well, sign me up. What's going on? So I clicked on it, and the first one was like social media manager, and it was like, well, it helps if you actually have like a page to show people as like a portfolio type thing. So originally I was like, okay, well, what can I do as a page that would get people interested? And that's when it clicked, what if I turn that Bible idea into a Facebook page? And I told her about it, and for like the first 6 months we were just kind of like, it's a thing, it's there, it's whatever. And then finally, like 6 months into it, she's like, why don't we just take it seriously? She already had graduated, and she was like, I don't have anything else to do.
Are we going to do it, or are we not going to do it?
Yeah, she's like, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do now that I'm done with school. You want to just like take this seriously and see where it goes? And I was like, okay. So then we started from there, and then we started shooting a couple of videos, and that's where Dom comes in. And pretty much me and him just have good chemistry on camera, so that's where it just started, and then it just grew. Everybody found out, and we're like, can you think you can help us? Oh yeah, sure, I'll be a part of it. And then that's how Louis came in, and then he left for a little bit, and he's like, you told me the idea of originally, I want to be part of it. All right, fine. So now we've grown. In the last couple of months, we've all gotten finally all back together, or now we're 5.
It's really cool how things, when you have that idea, that first concept, that seed, it's really cool how things tend to evolve. I mean, from what I originally had my idea for this business to be back in May to what it's evolved to now in just that short amount of time, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's really neat when you have that idea and you nurture it and you start putting the thought and work into it, and then it starts exploding and blooms into something where you didn't expect it to become, and then it's like, oh, this is actually much better.
Yeah.
That's what in like the last 2 months we've been getting like different like restaurants opening, and they're like, do you have any suggestions on how to do our opening? And we're like, no.
Inviting us. One suggestion.
Yeah. We're like, well, we can
make
shoot
sure
a
we're
video.
there.
Yeah, so like tomorrow we have one that we're shooting, but they're like, so how do you think we should open this? I'm like, give stuff away? I'm not sure. I've never done openings. I was like, well, we can do videos for you. We can get that done. They're like, okay. So it's just kind of crazy now how like everything's running. That's like our board here, our film board. We're like stacked till the next like month and a half.
Although it
That's
does say
awesome.
18, but
Yeah,
anyways.
so, yeah.
That's awesome.
We live in the
I mean,
past.
that's what you want, though.
Yeah, so it's just kind of we're just enjoying it how it's like just growing. So now we're like making plans to make a second film team so we can film more and have more videos. So.
Yes.
Yeah,
More
definitely.
plans.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're growing. We got stuff coming along. But to jump to the next question here, this one was her question.
Yeah.
Is if you weren't a yard
Who's her?
sale, if you the only woman on the team, the only woman on the team.
Got you.
Pretty much, if you weren't a yard sale manager, what would you be doing? Just staying at home.
So, I wish. So, I like this question because before I did what I'm doing now, I was a stay-at-home mom and I loved it. But I found out I had to do something. I have to do something. I can't just take care of my kids, which,
Right.
I don't think I'd ever thought I would say. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did that come out
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We get it.
So before I became the yard sale manager, I was working full-time as a director of sales for Holiday Inn, IHG, Marriott, and I liked it, but it's like that ship has sailed. I don't want to go back to it. So if I was not doing this business, or if I've done it and it didn't work out, honestly, I think the next thing that I would want to pursue would be a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines.
Oh.
So, hey, Southwest, if you're listening,
Holla at her.
I will send you my resume and just keep it on hold pending the success of my business.
Well, you can stop being a hotel front desk and be a part-time flight attendant.
No, because you get horrible reception when you get to cruising altitude,
Right.
and I need to constantly be on social media if my business, even if I do it part time or just to keep up with you guys on 210 Culture.
Yeah,
I mean, if I'm up in the air,
you know what,
cruising from Colorado to LA,
hey, but you can download our podcast.
I can't keep up.
Yeah, but you missed the videos on Wednesday if she's flying.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Complications.
So so the next question I have here that we were going to just because I'm really bad at remembering. But I know we were talking about how you were wanting to start a support group.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm so excited. So this is actually the big announcement. I haven't actually...
Oh, my God. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
Hey! Okay. So... my support group I'm starting, it's meeting at the end of January, and it is for parents who have a learning disability, or as I like to call it, a learning difference. So I have 2 children. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old is soon to be 6 in February, and she's in kindergarten. Yay! Yeah. Oh my gosh, I really... So, as a parent who has attention deficit disorder, one of the struggles I've noticed now is having a child who has homework and not being able to help her the way she needs. So, for example, when I pick her up from school, she constantly says, "Oh, can I not do my homework till Daddy gets home?" And I'm fine with that. If she wants to do her homework when Dad gets home, that's fine. If he's better at helping her, perfect. I am numero uno to ask when it comes to learning differences. Not everybody learns the same way. And I get that. If she wants to learn with Dad, learn with Dad. So when I started helping her with her homework and I started struggling helping her, not being able, it wasn't that I didn't understand her homework, it was that she wasn't understanding the way I was explaining it.
Right, yeah.
And it was frustrating for both of us. And so it started me thinking, well, I obviously struggle with homework and I've struggled with other things as a parent. So obviously there are other areas as a parent that I'm struggling with more than other parents. So I went online and I started searching support groups for parents who have learning disabilities, because it's not just a educational disability, it is a social disability. A lot of people don't understand that ADD, ADHD has a lot of social anxiety that comes along with it. There's a lot of implications where you don't realize what you're saying is not the right time. So when I started this research, there was no support group out there at all. And, everyone says being a parent, it's super hard. It's the hardest job, but it's the most rewarding. And yeah, it's hard, but imagine how much harder it is being a parent with this disability.
Right, yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm getting a bunch of parents together who have disabilities. I'm opening it up. Even if you don't have a disability, you can still come. It's fine.
Right, yeah.
But it's mainly geared towards parents who have a learning disability or some sort of disorder, anxiety, depression, bipolar. If you're a parent and you have these things, come to this meeting. Let's talk about what you're struggling with, and maybe us as parents can collectively come up with solutions to help you figure out how to handle those situations better.
Yeah.
So it's going to be held, I'm going to have to get the date correct, but I think it's the 29th at 8 p.m. At the Idea Walsham campus.
Oh, okay.
In Windcrest. So,
nice.
The Idea Walsham campus is generously giving me their location complimentary. So I don't have to pay for it. So it's really a big deal. They're doing this. To help out, because it's important for parents to feel like they have that support, especially when there's no other support. When we're diagnosed with this disability at a young age, we're kind of coddled throughout our education, because through high school, through college, there was always a program for students who have learning disabilities. Well, then when you graduate college, there's nowhere else turn to.
Right,
There's no one else to go to.
Yeah.
When you were in school, you could say, I have this struggle with something academically, or I have a social struggle. And there would be people there that would say, oh, no problem, let me help you with that. And then when you graduate, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So we're here to help you, to hear you, to just let you vent.
Yeah.
Meet other parents who have the same problems, and maybe connect and make some new friends too.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. My support group.
Oh, nice. I remembered. I
think this is really great. And do you think that because, do you feel kind of like you're facing this alone at times? Like, if you think that other people don't have, like another parent with like a learning disability, absolutely, you feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm doing this alone. I feel like nobody really understands what I'm going through, having a learning disability and having to, kind of get with my child, and we don't have the same learning capabilities, and
I definitely feel that way because the disability, it's invisible. I mean, looking at me, you wouldn't know that I have this struggle. There's no way for you to see it. And for me, looking at other parents, that it's that transparent glass. I look at it and think, oh, they all look so normal. They all are so happy. Right. They couldn't be struggling. I'm the only one that's going crazy, and I know that's the craziest thought to have because I'm not a mind reader, but it's hard for me to see other people and read through the lines. That's part of my disability. I can't read between the lines. I think, oh, they're upset with me. I instantly think someone's upset with me if someone's upset. They might be upset because they didn't get their gas bill in on time. Right. I mean, it's not my fault, but I think they're upset with me. And so that's where the struggle comes because I can't tell when other people are struggling, and other people can't tell that I'm struggling. And even when I do have moments where I might be in a social setting and I'll have my kids and they're going crazy and I'm trying to focus in on what someone's telling me because maybe my phone died and I need directions, you're going to sit there and you're going to tell me how to get from point A to point B, and I've got both my kids going crazy. I'm having ADD. I can't focus on you and trying to keep them calm. And so then when I have a moment where I then yell at them, they think I am nuts. They probably think I have lost my goddamn mind. And they're probably going to feel like they need to write things down slowly and then call CPS when I leave. That's literally what runs through my mind almost every time, you know? So it's definitely a struggle. And that's one of the things that I want to bring to light is letting these parents know that they're not alone.
For sure. That
these issues that they are facing are normal. Yeah. And one of the things I struggle with the most is worrying, as all parents do, that their children are going to turn out normal. But for me, it's an extra worry because I can't provide a normal response to a lot of their inquiries now.
Yeah.
I worry that their simple or detailed question gets lost in the mix of my answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it does. Have you gotten several responses about your support group?
Yes, really? And I actually have a few folks who would like to come and sit in on the meetings and speak to any parents who need assistance. There's actually a client of mine. She was very involved within the education system regarding the ADA compliances, and she's now retired, but she's very interested in sitting in on these meetings and providing any type of suggestions or resources available to them. So that's a huge support. And then I haven't asked yet, but Diane Rogers from the Learning Differences office at my college in Mercyhurst, if you're listening, I'd love to have her come and sit in. I mean, I know she lives in Delaware and I can't pay for her flight, FYI.
Skype.
Just FYI.
But, throwing that out there.
Yeah, lots of shout outs tonight. But Diane Rogers was one of the women who pioneered the Learning Differences program at my college, and she is someone who, if you had any questions, she's the woman to ask. She knows for sure. Yeah. So I'm actually probably going to approach her as long as this takes off.
Right.
That's my hope is to get her to sit in on that.
That sounds great.
Thanks.
Just think especially parents need any type of support, just because
absolutely
it's already hard enough having to raise children, and you want them to just come out,
especially in this
great.
environment right now.
Yeah,
and there's so much distractions going on.
For sure.
And then especially with a lot of people too, where they're just like in the olden days, where it's like, "What's your problem? You figure
we don't
it
talk
out."
about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So especially now that there's people that they'll see that there's that
and a lot of the parents right now were raised by parents who had that mindset.
Yeah, for
sure. Because that's how they were raised.
Yeah.
And so we're the generation that's trying to break those barriers and saying it's okay to show those emotions. It's okay. We don't have to hide it, and so for me, that was the most shocking thing, was when I went to go find a support group, and there was nothing.
There was none. Yeah.
We were all like just cradled throughout our education and then dropped off the face of the earth in terms of support after we graduated.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the older generation saying this is the pansy generation, but we're not.
I think we're the true hippies.
I think we're stronger because we're able to actually be ourselves now.
And utilize the things that we have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's not a handicap. It makes you handy-capable.
Yes.
It makes you more into one topic or one subject, and then you just concentrate on that fully, and then you can get it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of helping you learn better. And that's what you're worried. I mean, that's why I think a lot of people are worried about too, because they're like, well, what if my kid has this? Like, I want to be able to be able to handle it with them. Yeah.
That's why I don't like to call it. I mean, when I was in college, the program was learning disabilities. It was the Learning Differences program, the LD program. That's why I don't like to call it a learning disability. It's a learning difference. I just learn differently. I pick up on things differently.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember things a lot differently than you do.
Exactly.
It's super backwards, but it works for me.
Exactly. And that thinking differently might also help you in different situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, unlike us, like, a high stress situation, taking a test or something, getting nervous. I mean, maybe you're better at taking tests.
No.
So then
that was actually the one thing I couldn't do. I took my driver's test very well, but that was hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah.
So
words are a different story.
For me, with tests, it was like, you know what? Whether I pass or fail, I don't really care. I will prove to the professor somehow I know this stuff. Whether I write an extra term paper, do extra credit.
You're more of a doer than...
I'm a doer than a tester.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, like, I can tell you how to do something, you'll research it, and you'll be like, all right, I got it. And then you can just do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are.
Yeah. So I will ask again at the end of the show to remind everybody, but how do we contact you if we do want to use your service?
Oh, the best way to contact me is through ESP. That was a bad joke. Sorry. Yeah, wah, wah.
I got that one too.
Wait. Yeah.
I know. I owned that. No, you can email me. My email is yardsalemngr@gmail.com, or you can hit me on Instagram or Facebook, which is yardsale_manager. But on Facebook, if you search Yard Sale Management, I am the only one that will pop up. So not too hard to find me through that.
And of course,
there ain't no other yard sale manager.
Of course, it will be in the description on our Facebook.
And make sure to check out the Stone Oak highlights in February. My article is going to be featured in the Stone Oak highlights. So,
awesome! That's so
super
exciting.
It's very exciting.
I know. There's so much things happening.
Yeah, the way I won that interview from a raffle, and I had no idea what I won. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, what's this?
No, literally, it was such a random thing. I didn't even realize I was going to a networking event.
What?
And they gave me raffle tickets, and I didn't even know that, I'm having a good conversation with a friend, and then they called my number, and I looked at my friend, I said, excuse me 1 second, say that number again. And it was my number, and they're like, come on up. So I go up, and I shake the hand, they take my picture, and then afterwards I go back over to my friend, and she's like, what did you win? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. And then another friend says, oh, congratulations, Rhiana, this is so exciting, this is going to be a great opportunity for you. I'm like, thank you so much. What did I win? And
what is it worth in cash, and can I have
it?
It's one of those big checks.
Does it have an expiration date? So yeah, that's a fun story, fun little fact.
Yeah, well, I think that's all the questions that I had here. So I guess we'll jump into the topics.
Yes.
So,
Well, yes.
So we're going to start with our favorite topic and get the sports out the way. So,
of course.
Okay.
So, of course, it's going to be the Spurs. They played against the Memphis Grizzlies on the 5th and took a W with a final score of 108-88. The next game they played was against the Detroit Pistons on the 7th and took another W with a final score of 119-107. They are playing right now, actually, against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yes.
And I'm not too sure what the score is right now. Oh, wait. No, it says right there. Spurs 36, Grizzlies 46. So we're losing. So what is you guys' opinion on the season? You guys' opinion of the season. On the season so far, sorry.
Well, we are officially on a 5-game winning streak till right now. If we don't come back.
Shit.
But we are
Don't jinx us.
13 out of the last 16 games in a row that we've won, including that Toronto game that we mentioned and did a play-by-play for last week. Like always, DeRozan is leading the way, like always, so we gotta give him the Compton salute.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's his
correct me if I'm
Compton
wrong.
salute.
It's what?
It's the
That's
Compton
his
salute because
Compton
he's from Compton.
salute.
He loves saying he's from Compton, so why not give him his salute?
Right.
Are the Spurs, is this correct? They did a lot better. They've been doing a lot better towards the end of the season than they did at the beginning.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Is that a trend for the Spurs?
I think it's a new trend.
It's a new trend because normally when we had Kawhi, we're normally like dominating, and then we like take like the middle of the season off, and then we realize we need to start playing again. But this year it's a whole bunch of newbies, so they're all just kind of meshing together and trying to
Forbes and all
to see
that.
what works best. So they're starting to get everything together now. So they're starting to be a lot better than what they were, and they're actually, like I said, they're on a 5-game win streak, so it's pretty good. But on average, they normally tend to win a lot more than they do now. Normally.
Okay.
But
yeah, we would already be at 500 win. You know what I mean? Already at the beginning, and we should already be ahead of the curve. But you know, we are rebuilding. We had a lot of injuries at the beginning of the season.
Oh yeah, we did.
So I mean, as of right now, this is a really good point in our playing. And honestly, like, you know, we've been winning since December. Since December's began,
Yeah.
we've been having a great time.
yeah, out of like the 10 players we had last year, about 4 of them left.
Yeah.
So we had Ginobili
Yikes.
retire. Tony
lot of
Parker went to another
foundations.
team, and then the big trade for Kawhi, and they took Danny Green with them. So that was another 2 players that left. So that's where, honestly, I think there's only like 3 players left from last year, and everybody else are just new recruits or people that got injured, so they're not playing right now. So they have to step up and take the place. But it's bound to happen after so many years with all the greats. It's that rebuilding phase where they have to just become a new team again and find a new identity. So it's just a heartache as a fan, but.
So if I ask any stupid questions, don't
stupid
judge me, because I don't really follow basketball.
Oh yeah, no problem.
But
Nice.
so would the Spurs be considered doing well at this point in their season?
in
if-
first standings,
First standings?
or regular standings, because
Yes, they are doing good for the fact that there's divisions and then there's conferences. So there's 2 conferences and there's like 4 divisions in each conference. So in their actual division, I think we're like in the top. But because their conference is the best, all the teams, LeBron, all the big name basketball players on that side, they're in the top 10. They're number 8 out of all the teams, and there's a total of 28 teams. So each side has 14. So they're about in the middle.
Okay.
But if they were on the other side, they'd be like 3 or 4 because the other side's terrible. It's all the East Coast teams, but they're terrible. So
Hey.
well, no,
Hey.
She's about to slap you right now.
Whoa.
well,
Hey, hold on.
Celtics.
Hey, my dad's from
Y'all hit a spot.
That's East Coast.
Technically,
That's Midwest.
well, it's East.
That's not East Coast.
That's Midwest.
That's Midwest.
Thank you.
Dang. Sit down
But
now.
they're not in the conference, so-
Let's agree to
seated.
disagree. All right, let's go.
Mic off. No.
And that's the end of the episode. Somebody died. But yeah, backseat drivers, y'all have any comments about this?
Backseat drivers. Wow, really?
Like breaking my neck by the time.
Well, we know DJ's a Lakers fan, so DJ really has nothing to say.
Okay, so you no DJ. Don't even bother doing anything.
Actually, been updated here by our new sound guy that they're actually 6 in the conference out of like 14. Yeah, 14.
6 out of 14.
Yes.
Lakers are what, 7th, right?
Lakers are 8th, Portland 7. With the Rockets at 5th, the Clippers 4, OKC at 3, Golden State at 2, and Denver Nuggets in 1st.
Yeah.
Wow.
Besides the Denver Nuggets, I really thought you were saying computer like program names.
They're all just shorthanded.
What are all these code names?
Oh, they're just like shorthanded for this.
It's okay. You're not the only one that gets lost. I get lost sometimes.
I love you.
He don't watch basketball.
Yeah,
either.
he don't watch basketball either.
He's
Or
like,
TV.
I play the sports. Don't get me wrong. I like to play sports.
I'm more of a football gal.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
so
Your
what's
team?
your team?
Hold up. What's your team?
Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But my husband's an Eagles fan, so now.
Pobrecito.
I mean, what?
Hey, remember, he's
She
hearing
wasn't
this.
laughing. What are you
What?
talking about?
No.
Now she knows where we live.
No, it was. So I had to watch my Eagles or my Eagles.
Whoa,
Whoa, wait,
whoa.
can we cut that?
I think so.
Okay. I had to watch my Ravens lose on Sunday, and I was at work, and then I got to watch the Eagles play, which, even if you're not an Eagles fan, that game was absolutely insane. I mean, my heart rate was going from 0 to 40 back down to 0 to 30.
They definitely should have lost.
Ooh.
Look, I'm not going to agree with you, but I'm gonna definitely say it was luck.
Hey, you better calm down because she won't sell our stuff.
Was super good. He was like, "Hey, babe, welcome home. How was your night?" I'm like, yeah, okay.
Rhiana, at any point you can slap any of these if you don't like the way they're saying
thanks.
something or opinion.
You're more than welcome. You're
This
part
is
of the.
my
You're
house,
part of the
so she
family.
can do whatever she wants.
You're part of the family
They
now,
haven't
right?
crossed
So
that line.
whoever you want to slap.
They're good. I'll just give him the mom eye if they cross that line.
No.
I'm sure that'll be
I'm
just
not-
as terrifying.
I'm not wearing any chanclas, but I'm sure the emotion will be like.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, no, that'd be
We'll have some for you.
and that is specifically why I have this always on deck, ready to push when needed.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, good one.
Do they sound like that?
Yes. Those are the wooden ones, not like the foam ones. Too.
They're the good
Those
ones.
are the woven wooden ones.
So, before we jump into our next topic, forgot
What's
about
going
the song of the month.
Oh yeah,
Oh, this is
that's their
Oh,
song
I
of the
know
month.
this song.
Do you
Where are the
really?
glow sticks?
Literally,
I don't know.
like glow shoes.
He didn't pack anything.
I didn't think we were gonna get this far.
Wow.
Wait, what?
I didn't
Glow
think we were gonna
sticks.
bust out a glow stick. I thought she was gonna look at us like we were weird and she was gonna get up and leave. I didn't plan this far ahead.
That's my music.
I didn't plan
That's what
this
I
far
was
ahead.
jamming to on the way here. That's why it took me so long to get here. I was like, all right, 2 more songs, then I'll be there.
Rerouting.
I missed it. Oh, we'll go in a circle. It's fine. But all right, let's go ahead and jump into the next topic, shall we?
Yes. So the next topic is how San Antonio is combating rise in homeless youth. A survey conducted between 2017 to 2018 showed a 28% increase in homeless unaccompanied minors here in San Antonio, which now local agencies are making a top priority. More minors are choosing the streets over a life involving foster care, abuse, neglect, or an unstable financial situation at home. SAM Ministries has counted and found these minors to take them in and house them in their shelters. The issue isn't going away anytime soon, as the census shows more than 18% of San Antonians living at or below poverty level and are consistently at risk of becoming homeless, and a lot of them are minors. So what do you guys think could be a solution to decrease homeless minors, and do you think there should be a change in the foster care system?
Ooh, well, I mean, this is a kind of topic that really hits like to when I was in elementary school, because a lot of my friends were homeless because either their parents were at work and they never came back home, or they're neglected, and so it's like this is something that should really be looked at, like, because I mean I understand foster care is like they're not technically your parent, they're just a guardian. and they get money for you from the government to take care of you. So literally, I mean, a lot of the kids either get mistreated or they're also neglected by the foster family as well. Not all foster families are bad, but I mean, from the ones I've heard from, I mean, it just sounds like nobody's really taking care of you. You're just there to clean and take care of yourself, really. So, I mean, this is something like we should really look towards, like having a state funded or nationally funded program to help kids either with school or get them ready to go to school. Like in Europe, they have free school. I mean, just send them to school, like boarding school, not like that, but like a nice boarding school, you know?
So I think a lot of the issue, and this is something that actually also hits close to me, because one thing that my husband and I have talked about a lot is adopting. Mm-hmm. And we don't want a baby because there are a lot of people out there who can't have babies. Right. So we actually, and this I probably shouldn't even say this. Oh, no. We want a potty trained child. we want to just fast forward through that.
Yeah. They know what you mean.
But we want to adopt a child that, it's not that potty training is a nuisance. I mean, it is, but I mean, if we had to do it, we had to do it. But we want to adopt a child that's a little bit older, and accept those challenges and try to help them and provide whatever we can. But as a parent of two they're not toddlers, but as a parent of two little ones, coming from someone who's been on a budget for my entire adult life, there are so many programs out in San Antonio that I don't think a lot of people realize are available, and it's not a bad thing. I think San Antonio does what they can in terms of promoting it. I feel like they could do a little bit more, right? But definitely. I think that they don't want to promote it a lot because they don't want to have to fund it more. But there are so many programs that are available not only to children but to families who foster children. For example, during the summer there's the free lunches, but the free lunches are held at at least a dozen libraries throughout San Antonio, and they're all completely free. And if you need to buy one, the adults can't eat, but the children can. And if you want to eat, it costs $2.55, and it's not a bad lunch. Right. Oh, yeah. So, there's different programs like that out. There's also, I like to do a lot of things within the library. There's like the Little Red Wagon. It's a program that gives you a free book and a free snack, and it has hands-on playing. It's sensory play. It's different activities for the kids to be involved in, and it's completely free. And they end up coming away with not just a snack, but a book.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know about that.
Yep, Little Red Wagon. I love it. Yeah. I mean, they get to pick a book, they get to do these activities, they get to do crafts, and I'm sure there's a ton more events and activities that are free, because that's one of the things that our city's known for, is so many free activities. But I think San Antonio really needs to hone in on how to promote those through the foster system.
Right, yeah.
Because to let the families who foster children, not the ones who adopt, but the ones who foster the kids till they find the families, let them know that these events are going on. Yeah. Because they might not know.
Right.
And that'll help them a lot.
I just think if minors would rather be homeless than be in our foster care, then something has to be done.
Yeah.
Because the reason we have foster care is to be able to provide for these kids in the meantime before they get adopted. And so if they're choosing to be homeless, obviously, something's going on.
You have to think, though, like when, as a child who hasn't gotten adopted and being a teenager, being 14, not being adopted, all of your hormones and your emotions are raging, for a boy or a girl. You have all of these conflicting ideas, and if you don't have the right support system, you're going to think that you're alone, and you're going to be wanting to take off on your own because anything's better than where you're at.
Yeah. Right.
So it's really about the environment these kids are in, not where they're at. It's who they're with, and providing that positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, which once again goes back to Miss Shirley over at Nestle Toll House, who's trying to help with that by having that ranch that she's trying to get there for the foster kids that obviously they're welcome. But at least for me, I mean, I it's definitely a big issue. But just like when we talked about the homeless people a couple episodes ago, it's one of those, you can only take a horse to water. You can't force them to drink it. Right. So even with these programs, just like you mentioned, there's programs out there, even like job hunting, people who can't find jobs or don't have clothes for jobs. There's programs out here in San Antonio. But if you're not going to go out and look for them, and it's also sometimes on the programs themselves, because I know they don't have the funding to like put a TV commercial out, but at least a word of mouth, or maybe get somebody to put flyers out that's willing to volunteer. Because there's a lot of programs that unless you know about it or you hear it from somebody, you're not really going to know.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the problem lies as well, especially if you're, say, a foster parent that's busy trying to put work, but you're helping them out by taking them in, and you don't have time to watch TV or maybe check Facebook to see all this programs available.
Yeah.
And that's where it's just like, it's kind of one of those double-sided swords, because I feel like the sources are out there, and yes, it's kind of the person's job to like look into it if you really need it. But on the other side, if you don't know where to look, how are you supposed to look for what you need?
Hi, 210 Culture. Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
One of the things that I actually, with my company, that I actually would like to do is, once I've been able to get more established within my yard sale industry, I want to be able to offer job opportunities for either homeless people or people who are trying to get back on their feet through those organizations, and let them know, like, I only need people for maybe 2 or 3 hours to help me set up the yard sale, maybe help me take it down. And then I could pay them. It would be cash in hand at the end of the sale, but it gives them an opportunity to have some solid work, an opportunity to make some money.
Right.
You know, those are one of the things that I want to do. That's why my business, I'm really big on giving back to the community.
Right.
You know, at the end of my yard sales with my client, at the end, we walk through and take anything that's donatable, and we put it in the car, and I haul anything away that I can fit in my car to local charities.
Right.
And one of them is actually to the Children's Shelter of San Antonio. And they actually have a thrift store. So the Children's Shelter of San Antonio has a thrift store. And if you donate to them, 100% of their proceeds made from that thrift store goes back to the shelter. So not great. $1 goes to fund the people who are working for the electricity. None of that. It all goes directly back to the shelter for the kids who actually need it. And so that's one of my biggest charities that I love donating to. So, you know, that's one of the huge things about San Antonio. And what I'd like to do is continue working with them, and possibly at some point be able to provide jobs for the people who can't get a job at that point. Or earn themselves a reference to take them to that next step.
Yeah. I always don't understand this. Well, I do understand it, but then I don't, because going back to how you said how they do free lunches over the summer. Yeah. So I'm not from here either. I'm from down south Texas. I'm from the Valley. And over there, I always tell him, I was like, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling because they had to pay for their school lunches. And all of ours back in the Valley was free. Like, everybody's was free. No matter if you were... if you had so much money coming in, it was free for everybody.
That's incredible.
And I was like, what? You guys had to pay? And he's like, yeah, we had to pay for our lunches. I was like, no, mine was free. Unless I wanted something, then I would pay for it. But other than that, all of our lunches were free. And so I was like, that's just crazy to me how y'all had to pay.
Yeah.
And once again, like I always say, we don't live in the...
Whatever.
But so it looks like we got time for one more topic to wrap up the show here. So I'll let our...
Dang, already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I'll let the...
I talked too long.
Oh no, it's perfectly fine.
All of us.
We literally just
engage in the conversation.
We literally just pick topics just so we can have something to talk about for another 30 minutes, but that was about it. So moderator, I'll let you pick the last one out of the two.
I like this one. Oh. No, sound guy. Okay, so we're just
foot down.
We're just going to go on to the next one down, where it says East Central ISD not ready to make a decision in arming teachers. That's an interesting topic.
I don't know.
East Central ISD is still in debate whether to arm teachers in their classrooms or not. The school board attempted to come up with a decision, but the superintendent, Rolando Toscano, was not ready to make a decision just yet. A survey conducted last year revealed that 46% of participants agreed staff members should be armed, while 48% disagreed and 6% stayed neutral on the topic. The school board is set to regroup on the 17th of this month, but Toscano said it doesn't seem a decision will be made that day either. So do you think staff members should be armed, or what approaches can be done to make schools safer? I know. It's like the birds. Really?
No.
This is like getting worse each time. What the
Wait. Louis went to the worst school here. Tell us, Louis.
How do you make a school safer, Louis?
Technically, me and Ethan and Lucia went to the
Okay,
worst
well,
school.
all three of y'all went to like the worst school in San Antonio.
It's true.
Hey, but it's still number one in the news.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I
Gotta be number one. You gotta own it.
No, is that I don't think any of the teachers should actually be armed with the gun because you don't know how bad their mentality is gonna get according to the situation that's at. Because you can get a student with a pencil that's trying to stab a teacher, then the teacher has the gun. That's no offense. Like,
I mean, if somebody's trying to come at me and trying to stab me with a pencil, I mean, I'm gonna come at them.
Yeah, but you gotta also look at the situation too. Even though that you do have a gun, I don't mind arming the teacher with rubber bullets.
Okay, yeah.
So if it's something like that, or even carry mace, which is not that much of a problem. Maybe even a taser, but I don't see arming any teacher with a gun unless it's necessary.
What about a bow and arrow?
A bow and arrow, an axe.
We got lasers.
Yes, there are places we can practice that.
That's true.
They got lasers, and all kinds of tasers.
But
what is this? What is our sound guy
How about
saying?
beanbags, Louis?
Oh yeah, dude, I wouldn't mind the beanbags.
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 Well,
I don't mind.
I'm a yes and a no. Yes, well, yes, because you see how many school shootings happen and how many people get killed. How it would be. I mean, not that it would solve. Not that it would solve the shootings, but less people would get killed if there were people armed in the school because they can be able to take him down faster. Him or her, whoever.
I feel like it really depends on your location.
Yeah.
Now, if you're out in the rural areas like a Floresville or like a Poe, it's going to take like 20, 30 minutes for the police to show up. If there's a mass shooter, which is really, this is what we're looking more into, not so much you bring up a good point though, because how do you decide what's a crisis with a guy running at you with a pencil that can stab you over someone with a gun? But, I mean, they're looking more towards that scenario, and somewhere like that, it's a little bit more of a necessity as opposed to somebody here like in Harlandale where the cops are like around the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have that one security guard, that one like police patrol, but by the time
who can't even run and is in a golf cart the whole time.
By the time he's done eating his donut,
Paul Blart.
By the time he's done eating his donut, trying to figure out where he's at.
America.
Honestly, I rather lean towards Chicago because most of the school actually do have metal detectors.
That's what I was gonna say next.
And they actually do take the time to actually look through your bag just to make sure, even though it is expensive, and I'm pretty sure they're paying for it. The ass.
All right, I'm going to take this question. I'm going to take over this.
Okay.
I'm going to take this question a step further. So would you feel more comfortable having the staff armed, or would you feel more comfortable having armed forces like police at the school? Police or the staff? Because either way, I think the school districts are going to go towards one or the other.
I would prefer the police.
I would prefer the police as well, but as a school district, I guess as like you say, a superintendent, it's cheaper just to train somebody who's already getting paid than it is to actually pay another body. Even though it would make more sense to have another body who's responsible and like you said, responsible that can make the correct decision. But we all know at the end of the day, when it comes to tax dollars, they're going to go with what's cheaper.
But as Lewis said, you have a lot of teachers who tend to kind of, quote, go off the rails. Mm-hmm. So what's to say that we get, we spend these tax dollars, get these teachers trained, and then they go off the rails and they have now a concealed weapon.
Exactly.
So, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, but I guess another question. When you're out, we're in Texas. You can carry an open handgun if you want. You got the permit, carry it.
Yeah.
So when you're out in a diner or at a restaurant or at the grocery store in HEB and you notice someone's got their handgun poking out their pocket, do you feel nervous at that point? Or do you feel like, all right, if shit goes down, I'm good. I'm behind the one guy that's got a gun.
I mean,
depends on how he looks.
Exactly. Look
by the cover.
I was gonna say, but I mean, normally though, it just kind of like I guess it's kind of more like the area itself. Like if I see them, like you said, at a diner, probably not too much. But if I'm like in a shady part of town, the dude looks shady himself, I'm gonna be like, probably not the best place.
I guess the reason I ask is because if seeing someone with a gun in public here in Texas makes you nervous, then you're probably not the one to agree with having the staff with a gun, because there shouldn't be any difference.
Yeah.
But honestly, as Texans, we're used to seeing that. That's a normal thing. Like, oh, that person's got a gun. That's normal.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of disagree with G. It doesn't really depend on the place where it's at, because like what happened with Sandy Hooks.
That's true.
Well, I'm not saying in general. I'm just saying for me personally, it just depends on where. I'm not saying like every person's like, oh, well.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. If you've noticed, most of the school shootings that happen in good neighborhoods. Well, there isn't a lot of armed security, where there isn't metal detectors, where somebody can literally just walk in and just do whatever they want.
Yeah, because my thing is just
the city in Florida.
Of the authorities.
It was in Florida, wasn't it?
Sandy Hooks was in Florida.
Yeah.
I rather up the authorities, like having more police officers on there, like being at the doors almost throughout the whole entire school.
I think it's sad though, because I mean, I remember being able to get onto an airplane and my mom walking me to the gate. Yeah. And I want to be able to walk my daughter to her classroom with cupcakes, whether they have peanuts in them or not, and not being like questioned at the door and carrying a gun and peanuts.
Are those store-bought? You go in with the bazooka, but you got store-bought cupcakes?
They want store-bought. They actually, if it's homemade, store-bought, it's okay. If it's homemade, no ma'am. Turn around and eat them at home.
So I guess you, as a parent, what would you rather have? Because I mean, our opinions, we don't have kids, so
it's such a hard question because, you know, it's scary. I mean, I was pregnant with my first when Sandy Hook was
happened.
You know, when it happened, and watching all of these little kids run out of the school, and I'm pregnant. I'm like bawling on my lunch break. So for me, you know, I want to hold onto that sense of innocence that this country used to have, where parents can walk their children to school, they can walk them into the school, the kids can walk home from school without any problem, like I used to do. But at the same time, I want to know my kids are going to come home at the end of the day. Right. I want to know. So honestly, I think because you have the police that are trained, I think police presence probably is going to be the best bet. I don't think I would trust. I think if I knew the teacher was legit and a good teacher, cool. All right, you can carry a gun. But if I don't like the teacher, I don't want her to have a gun.
What if they were to change it to a scenario where it'd be like, say, the higher ups, like the principal, assistant principal, like in those areas where they're not actually in contact with the students, but if something goes down because they're already there,
you know, it's such a gray area because
they can still have a bad day too.
Well,
everybody can have a bad day, and I think even the higher ups, you know, they would have to be trained by like a tactical force, because if anything goes down in the classrooms, they're the ones that are going to go hunting classroom to classroom for these people with a gun. Yeah. So, you know, it's such a hard question to answer, and I don't even know how I honestly feel, because I go back and forth, because I want my children to be safe in the classroom, but I don't think I want the teacher to have a gun. But then I back up and say, but if something does happen, I do want them to have a bow and arrow.
Gray area.
And we've come full circle.
Yeah, the last time that I had this conversation, it was me and Felicia at the time. We had a conversation about this, about one of the teachers actually hitting one of the students, and nobody knew but the principal was protecting the teacher. My thing was when me and Felicia were talking about it was put a camera in there where the teacher don't even know where it's at, so whenever you can actually connect to the camera, see how your kids are doing, see how they're being treated.
No, as a parent, no, that is the worst thing.
Well, for the parents to have that access. You know what?
Isn't that a violation to not tell them?
I would be on that camera 24/7. It would be like I would just have it attached to my sunglasses, just constantly looking.
It's called Google Glasses.
I
think about it, put it like that, so where the teacher doesn't know about the camera, so in case if something happens, you see a bruise on your kid, and like it sucks, because out of everybody who actually has kids, I've actually when I had a relationship, I kind of kept it secret because it was none of my family's business. But when I also had a daughter of mine from a previous relationship that she had a pre-family, and thinking about all the shooting and everything else that was going on, it actually got me thinking about everything like that, and actually thinking about the camera.
Those topics are the hardest things as a parent, because there's at the point where you have to make a decision, there's never the right answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to having a gun near your child, it doesn't matter who you're talking. You just don't want it. You don't want to have to figure out a solution to that.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had to decide, I would have to go with the cops.
Yeah.
Having a presence in the school over the staff.
Yeah.
But that's also me saying that because I feel like I have to give an answer. I don't want it anyway. I don't want it either direction.
Yeah, there's no easy answer to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There really isn't.
It's kind of like me
I just wanted to go back to the way it used to be, where it was innocent and.
It's kind of like me wanting to have a I want to have a license to carry, but it's one of those where I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty much now it's coming to a point where I kind of need it and have to have it and feel safe instead of not having one and something happened.
My dad was actually, he's always wanted me to get a gun. He's like, you need to protect yourself. You need to learn how to shoot. And, when I moved to Texas, he was like, finally. I'm like, no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Still not happening.
And
when you got your draw.
It's not only that though, but
you can be like,
Texas
Dad,
isn't the same anymore, Dad.
We're not actually riding horses to work. It's an actual Mustang.
Oh my
car.
God, what did you think?
It's not the horse, it's the car.
What did you think coming to Texas? Did you think we were all going to be in horses and like cowboy hats and all that stuff?
Ma'am.
So the way I ended up in Texas is for another episode. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll leave. It's a great story.
Dang it!
But we're gonna have to leave that one for another time.
What's funny about the firearms though, it's easy to get it, but they should also check the mentality of the person though, the background. Like,
too much
I disagree
money.
with that. I 100% disagree with checking the mentality.
Boo! You suck.
No, and this is why, because if I were to go in, if me as a mother of two children were to go in and request for a handgun, a carrying license, and they had to check my mentality, I would be denied because I have ADD. I have a disorder, a disability.
Really?
See,
I would be denied.
That's something else though, but you have something that you have more valuable to protect, which is your family.
Yes, but my mentality would be questioned because I have a
Like
disability that is recognized by the 504 plan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay,
but somebody like Joel can get a gun and shoot himself in the leg. So
that's a story for another
so that she's
time.
saved too.
Yeah.
Like if I were to go to a psychologist and say, you know what, I think I'm really struggling. I think I have bipolar and anxiety, and then 12 months later, I get into this is all hypothetical.
Right.
I get into a seriously toxic relationship and the guy's crazy and I want to protect my family and I go and I want to get a handgun because I think he's going to come back and like kill us. Right. I would be denied because I told a psychologist that I had
bipolar.
And they were diagnosing me with bipolar and anxiety. They would say, "Oh, mentally, you are not capable to handle a firearm."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think. Thank you. Perfect. That is why I respectfully disagree with the mentality check.
Yeah.
But then that's hard because there are people who mentally should not have a gun.
Right. Yeah.
Hence the term postal.
Holds the sense of common sense.
I know.
Yeah, but guns is a big topic, and we're in Texas. Pro guns, so
I do like that though. I like that we are pro gun.
We're gonna get a lot of hate. No, you're supposed to have a gun, alright?
Really? What was that one for?
It's for all the heifers.
She said we're in Texas.
All them heifers.
Pro gun, just not in my house.
There you go.
Unless we're pulling out Tide bottles and trying to get bullet practice.
You should just send a picture to your dad and be like, "Look, I got a gun," and it's a toy gun. It's like bang.
And put those sound effects.
I have no idea how that would go.
Put those sound effects on too, and you'll be good. It's fine. But this was a good time. We actually still stayed under time. We're over by like 3 minutes, but it's perfectly fine.
I can fill it. Do you need me to fill it?
Oh no.
So go on and on about this.
So this is the part of the show where we just go ahead and put our shameless plugs in from everybody who's not paid us but beg us to mention them sometimes. Because we still don't get any money off of this yet, but we're working on that.
Not yet.
So I mean, of course, what do we have this weekend? 0 Degrees is opening.
Yes.
Off of Baverde Road. They're doing their soft opening Wednesday, Thursday, and their grand opening is Friday, Saturday.
Heyo.
And then we have our video out, the Coffee Festival. And of course, this podcast came out today, which would be Friday.
And when
When you're
y'all see me in
listening.
the video,
I've been
don't say
trying to
nothing about my
plug this
empanadas.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
To everybody.
I still
You'll
got
have
2
a lot
minutes.
of listeners in Baltimore, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Yay!
We gotta watch ourselves
So excited.
with our comments about the East Coast now.
Shout out to everybody listening out there. Sorry about your Ravens, but y'all get them next year.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, Lamar Jackson.
Joe Flacco, you want to be a backup in Houston? We'll take you though.
No.
I mean, well,
No, I'm kidding.
Flag.
We'll take the money off your hands. It's fine. What else do we have going on?
That's from a person who doesn't have a football team in the city.
dang.
No, I'm being serious. Like San Antonio, you don't have a football team.
No, we
Commanders.
True.
Go
There's no
Commanders.
loyalty.
Oh yeah, we do like the Commanders. Yeah.
Speaking of the Commanders, they have their open house workout practice next week on the 19th. Next week? Yeah. Next week,
Yeah.
the 19th. Next weekend, the 19th. And what else do we have going on? Street Fair on the 24th
Love
for
that.
our
Blogger meetup.
our social
It's
media
great.
meet and greet.
I love it.
Yeah, you're
Also,
welcome
we
to
have
come out there.
margaritas.
It's going to be us and a
Donna.
bunch of different social
I
media
will
people.
We
totally
have
be there.
margaritas.
It's on
Yes.
Thursday.
Margarita night?
Yes.
Alright.
Between 5 and I think like 9.
This Thursday?
The 24th.
Okay.
Next week.
Count me
2
in.
weeks from now. 2 weeks from now.
Heck
So on
yeah.
the street, on everybody who's listening to the podcast on the 24th, if you go to the street fair, come have a margarita with us at 210 Coach.
Yes.
It's on Louis.
Yard
Yes.
sale
It's on
lady will
Louis.
be
First
there.
round on me. First
Yeah,
round on
and
me.
we will also
Only
be
one.
shooting
you gotta be
our
cute, though.
video there as well for Street Fair.
Boo.
So definitely show up so
Depending on how many
follow.
margaritas I have, I may play on the playground.
we can.
Ooh.
And we'll have it all on camera.
Because we like now to include bloopers at the end of our video, so that'd be perfect. This week's blooper was discussing is it the Saints go marching in or the Saints go marching on?
Okay, it wasn't
Y'all
really
be-
a debate. I was wrong.
y'all be the
okay?
decision,
I was
alright?
all jittery with coffee.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I was
what did we
jittery
end
on
up
coffee
with?
too, but I still know it was
goes
Saints
marching.
go
in.
marching in.
And I was
What-
like,
what-
they march
Yeah.
on the
We'll
on
show you the
field.
clip after the video. after the podcast. It's our golden moment.
I know.
But yeah, and I don't think we have anything else other than follow the same people we always mention. Texas Bearded Cartel, shout out to them for the hookups with the free shirts.
What?
Yes.
What up?
Shout out to Miss Sherry over at Nestle Toll House.
Cookies
Get your cookies over there off of 1604. They're
and
delicious.
sandwiches.
Got milk.
Spurs update real quick. It's 83-73. Memphis is in the lead with 6:35 left in the fourth, but it should be over.
Boo.
You suck.
There you go. And then, of course, if you're looking for a rental in the area, reach out to our boy Nick with Texas Relocators. He will help you find an apartment for free, and I think he still has a special where he hires the movers if you go with him. If he helps you find a place, and if he doesn't,
I hope they have a height requirement.
So if you need that quick move,
So can I make
Dang.
two
Oh.
shout outs?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Shout out to Keyheart Marketing, my director of marketing for YSM. She's incredible. She also does marketing for the Evil Olive, and she just started a page for
Ooh.
restaurants who are looking to get into the digital marketing field.
Awesome.
And then also another shout out to my girls with Alamy yoga retreats. They do amazing yoga retreats with vegan wine tastings, and they can do facials and lots of different things. Their
We need that 'cause
services
all these
are
people are
incredible. They do corporate events,
Dang.
personal events. They're fantastic ladies, and I love them. They also do massages.
Nice.
And possibly acupuncture. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry, guys, if I got that wrong.
damn it. Yo, I sound interested. I want to go.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
they're fantastic.
Yo, hey, we need a spot for 210 coaching.
I was gonna say all of y'all are
Alamy.
going. All of y'all are going on a spot trip. Y'all ugly as hell. We need y'all to look better for camera.
Wow.
I got my professional over here that takes care of my eyebrows on a daily basis with the wife. So
Really?
Should they be
Does
looking
that-
kinda
You
rough?
complained about me having good eyebrows, and now you're getting your eyebrows done by Donna. Come on.
And she gives
I don't
you
have a
facials.
choice. Okay, I don't have a choice.
Whatever.
He doesn't
Yes, he
understand
does. I'm like, you want me to do your eyebrows? He's like, yes.
So
God,
the
yes.
official name is Alamy Holistic Health.
Oh,
Aloe me.
Alamy.
Ah.
Not Alamo.
Hi, Alamo.
That actually is quite catchy, but no. But you know what? Analogies work perfectly. Alamo, Alamy.
There you go.
Ah. And of course, shout out to Wicked Voodoo Coffee. You just reminded, or Voodoo Espresso.
Oh,
you
yeah.
just reminded me. Shout out to them out in New Braunfels.
Woohoo!
They're out there at the coffee festival. And shout out to that couple who did the interview that had no idea how to answer a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Shout out to them.
What are you here for?
Oh my god.
And of course, shout out to all the other coffee places: White Elephant, Rosella, HEB.
Yay, Rosella!
Love them.
Cat's Coffee that we got to film. Everyone else who were there, we do apologize. We just didn't have time.
We didn't have enough tickets,
and I didn't have enough people to drink coffee that weren't going to get a heart attack. Yeah. So,
including me.
We'll catch y'all next year for part 2, I guess. And with that being said, anybody got any last? And with that being said, anybody got any last minute shout outs?
No.
I just want to say thank you guys for having me on as your very first guest on the show. This was so much fun, and you guys are a lot of fun to hang out with, chat with, and thanks for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes.
Anytime.
So once again, if y'all do see the video, please do not leave any hateful comment about my empanadas dying. It was all that lady's fault. It was that girl's fault.
So
sad. No. If we're gonna we gotta right.
Oh.
But yeah, and of course our door used to be open all the time, but now that it doesn't close, we have to lock it. But you're always free to come by and knock on the door.
Yes,
and join the podcast.
Literally
of
open.
course.
Normally we used to leave it open all the time. But with that being said, like always, I'm G.
I'm Dom.
And Donna.
And Rhiana.
It's your boy Lou.
Your boy DJ.
And before we finish this, I'll actually tell you how we end it so you can be included with us. So I normally end it with 210
Dom,
culture.
pay attention.
Yes, Dom, please pay attention.
Wow.
So we end it with 210 culture, bringing the best of 210 Nation. So that's how we normally end our show. So like always, 210 culture.
Bringing the best of 210 Nation.
There.